They called it the Jubilee year. Scholars aren't sure if it was ever actually put into practice, but it was an amazing law to have. One that would never fly in the modern world, though. At least, not as it is described in the Bible. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Thursday, August 11th, 2022. It is described in the 25th chapter of Leviticus. It is a set of laws that extends on the idea of a regular Sabbath. Recall that the fourth commandment was all about observing a regular Sabbath day and keeping it holy or set apart. On the seventh day of the week, all Israel was to refrain from doing any work. The version of the Ten Commandments in Exodus describes it as the day the Lord rested from the work of creation. The version in Deuteronomy describes it as a day of rest, remembering the time when they were slaves in Egypt. Now in Leviticus, there is an extension of this idea. First, every seventh year was to be a year of rest for the land itself. Crops could be grown for 6 years, but in the seventh year, the land would have a chance to rest from its labor of producing crops. As any modern farmer knows, this is also good land management. Work a field too long, and the result is land that will no longer produce crops. Nutrients need to have a chance to restore themselves in the soil. Nowadays, we do it by rotating crops and fertilizing. But Israel was simply to let the land go fallow for a year and live off the excess produce that had been set aside for this Sabbath year. And to extend the Sabbath command even further, at the end of every 49 years, or what Leviticus calls a week of years, 7 periods of 7 years each, there was to be a Jubilee year. You shall count off 7 weeks of years, 7 times 7 years, so that the period of 7 weeks of 7 years gives 49 years. Then you shall have the trumpet sounded loud. On the 10th day of the 7th month, on the Day of Atonement, you shall have the trumpet sounded throughout all your land, and you shall hallow the 50th year, and you shall proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. Wonderful! A Jubilee year, a time for celebrations. But there's more to it than that. Listen to what comes next, how this Jubilee year is to be observed. It shall be a Jubilee year for you. You shall return, every one of you, to your property, and every one of you to your family. That 50th year shall be a Jubilee for you. You shall not sow or reap the aftergrowth or harvest the unpruned vines, for it is a Jubilee. It shall be holy to you. You shall eat only what the field itself produces. In this year of Jubilee you shall return, every one of you, to your property. When you make a sale to your neighbor or buy from your neighbor, you shall not cheat one another. When you buy from your neighbor, you shall pay only for the number of years since the Jubilee. The seller shall charge you only for the remaining crop years. If the years are more, you shall increase the price, and if the years are fewer, you shall diminish the price. For it is a certain number of harvests that are being sold to you. You shall not cheat one another, but you shall fear your God, for I am the Lord your God. Amazing! All land reverted back to its original owners in the Jubilee year. Did your father run into financial difficulties way back when and sell your family's land? Then your family would not be permanently penalized for one generation's mistakes or misfortunes. Instead of selling land permanently, it was more like selling the rights to the land for a specific period of years, at the end of which time the land would return to its original family. Just astounding. But what on earth does it have to do with us? For better or for worse, our modern world is built on a completely different economic model. Unlike in the ancient world, the vast majority of us no longer make our living off the land. We make our living doing things like selling goods and services, by teaching, by building things. Very few of us are actually involved in agriculture anymore. But that doesn't mean there isn't some ongoing significance for us in laws concerning the Sabbath year and the Jubilee year. Let me suggest two things this continues to mean for us. First, it is a reminder that everything we own ultimately belongs to God. We are stewards of the resources in our control, whether land or wealth or time or talents. We're generally free to use them as we see fit, but ultimately we are accountable to God, responsible to God for our use of these things. Second, these laws are a reminder that we cannot and must not take unfair advantage of people when they are down. In my observation, the rougher people's circumstances, the tougher we make it for people to get back on their feet. Whether it is the exorbitant interest of payday loans or the high cost of banking for those who live paycheck to paycheck, the least little hiccup in life, an unexpected medical bill, an ill-timed car repair, results in people getting hopelessly behind with very little way to catch up, let alone get ahead. I see the results of these problems nearly every month when I get requests from one of our mission partner agencies when they ask for extra cash to help people who face eviction or having their utilities shut off because of a major unexpected expense. We may not celebrate a Jubilee year, but the law governing it continues to guide us even today. Tomorrow, a few laws that at first blush leave us scratching our heads. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.